I keep engaging in major philosophical ponderings, and as of late, the topic of consciousness has been coming up. And I have a pretty simple definition of consciousness that I wanted to share because I think it can be useful and helpful to some people. And I think the problem is often when we talk about consciousness is that even a lot of sophisticated philosophers conflate consciousness and conscience, and they say that animals don't have consciousness, only humans do. But I think what they really mean to say is that animals don't have conscience, and that's what I believe is the reality, that both humans and animals have consciousness, and you will find out why I think that is when I read my definition of consciousness to you. But I think that mostly only humans have conscience, because I think we are the only organisms on planet Earth right now that can really engage in a type of moral philosophy that requires higher faculties and a higher agency that animals mostly don't have, I think. And you can find all the relevant links and diagrams that I will talk about in the description of this video. There's a really good article that I will link below that makes that distinction between consciousness and conscience, and how the two are defined. What I think consciousness is, or how I define it, is as follows. I'll read it to you now. I define consciousness as being able to feel pleasure and pain, and to choose between pleasure and pain. Therefore, I see consciousness as a mechanism to implement free will. What this means practically and philosophically to me is that God actually might not have consciousness, or be a type of meta-consciousness, since I think God does not feel pleasure and pain in the same way as beings with consciousness do. I define God as unconditional love. And through Hamilton's rule, the scientific disciplines of evolutionary biology and psychology confirm the existence of unconditional love via utilitarian altruism and kin selection, in my humble opinion. And I also have here on my YouTube channel a diagram that I call my Max Series diagram of reality. And in it, I show that unconditional love, or God, which I call the win-win utilitarianism infinite games mindset, can only act and think out of love. But there are two types of love: tough love and soft love. And I think this is where consciousness comes in and connects and intertwines with unconditional love, is through tough love, which conscious beings perceive as pain, and through soft love, which conscious beings perceive as pleasure. And for the higher faculty and agency beings, that have very vast capacities of free will, like us humans, conscience then comes in as moral philosophy to determine or to explore what unconditional love is and how it operates and how we can align with it, because that's the most utilitarian and most maximization of happiness way to live. And this is where consciousness and conscience in a way merge through moral philosophy, which is an emergent property of psychology and biology. Okay, thanks so much for your interest, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.